All right, welcome to the Bacon Bibles and Barbells podcast. I'm Coach Justin, joined by Coach Amanda as usual, but we actually have two special guests on today to talk about a fun topic. So some of you guys might remember, like Lohman, he's been on here before. About a year and a half ago, he reminded me, which I thought it was not that long, but time flies. So he actually comes to us. When he was on here last time, we talked about his work in the Masters strongman world. He's written a book on the topic, has a ton of coaching experience on just training guys that are in middle age and past, because very special considerations have to be made at certain points. We at a certain age we don't recover like we used to, and we can't handle the volumes and intensity that we necessarily used to. So how do you squeeze juice out of guys that are their joints are drying out? So good to have you on again, Mike. And
thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. And then we also have Gabby on. Some of you guys might remember. So Gabby, your last name, Burgholzer?
Close enough. We'll go with it.
Okay. I got a thumbs up, so we'll go with that. Gabby, so some of you guys might have actually seen Gabby on the strongman circuit. She has she's got a bunch of titles. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the important ones. She was I think it works the same way. America's Strongest Woman 2020, and also beat the Mauser block overhead press in 2020 that year as well, among a whole bunch of other strongman titles. Again, too many to list. You are retired from the Army, right? As of not super long, right? A few years, you said?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah. So Gabby was on basically the Army's official strongman team, if you will, and she also has that part of her resume. I've seen it. She did a lot of stuff in the Army that was pretty cool. I don't want to take a bunch of time to read it and all that, but there's a reason why the Army actually went to her and said, "Hey, would you represent us in on the strongman circuit?" Which she did, and she actually just informed us right before the show. There hasn't been a replacement. They haven't found anybody that that's that good. So far,
follow.
Yeah, I know. They haven't found an act to follow, basically. So thank you guys for being here. This is probably going to be a meandering conversation a little bit, and we'll allow for that. But the main reason we're here is you guys are starting a new organization that I'd like, Mike, maybe if you could give us a little bit of background. Like, how did you guys introduce the organization briefly?
Sure.
And then tell us how did all this come about? I mean, I'm sure there was plenty of conversations leading up to the genesis of this organization.
Yeah, this was cooked up by myself and Lee Woody, Masters Pro Strongman, dear friend of mine. Hi, Lee. But in 2021, Lee's also an Army veteran, like Gabby. Lee was in the Armored Infantry. And one of Lee's buddies, one of his pals from basic training and one of the guys in his platoon throughout his 4 years of service in the Army, a guy named Richard Bevins, sadly took his own life in 2021. And Lee knew that Bevins had been struggling. At the time, Bevins was living in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where Ken McClellan, who I wrote the book with, Mastering Strongman, had the Anvil, a gym called the Anvil. He actually still now works at the Anvil, but Lee and Ken had talked, and they were trying to get Bevins into the Anvil to get him training strongman, because Lee was convinced, man, if I can just get Bevins to try strongman, he'll grab hold of it. He was always, I guess, a very physical guy, very strong, human. And Lee just unfortunately was not successful, and so Bevins took his own life. And in 2022, the following year, Lee hosted a fundraiser for Mission 22, which is a great veteran service organization. If you're not familiar with it, check out their work. Hosted the fundraiser for Mission 22, and as we finished the day, and the next day I think we're sitting at IHOP having breakfast, just kind of spitballing, talking about strongman and Bevins and just all of it together. And we kind of cooked up this idea of there's got to be a way to make more veterans aware of the sport. I mean, let's all be honest. I mean, strongman is a fringe sport. It's not mainstream like, NFL or NBA or NHL, right? It's always going to be on the fringe. So not everybody knows about it, but we all, I don't do it anymore, but, we put ourselves through hell physically, challenging ourselves, training hard, competing hard. It kind of lends itself to, particularly Army and Marines and some of the special forces in the other branches, who live a very physical culture. So we kind of cooked up this idea to create awareness among veterans, of the sport. And how can we do that? Well, let's make it a nonprofit. And I want to be very clear, we did not cook this up to in any way compete with USS or Strongman Corp or any other, governing body. That's not our purpose. But we want to create, again, an awareness of the sport among the veteran population so that we can get more men and women into the sport. So that's how the Veteran Strongman Association was born.
Yeah, this is not a federation, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to make that clear. You told me when we had a phone conversation last week, actually, when you were telling me more about it. And that was something you stressed very heavily. We don't need another strongman federation. And I totally agree.
No.
I think all of us do. It's already annoying enough to have the main two that we do.
Right.
Men, it's time to reclaim the strength you were made for. Introducing the Crusader Transformation, a 90-day barbell challenge with the limit of 5. We'll keep this small so you can build a brotherhood with 5 like-minded fathers who value strength as much as you do. Together, we'll forge competence, discipline, and resilience. If you sign up now, it's only $800, which is 25% off the regular price. You'll train with purpose, stay accountable, and receive personalized instruction. Join the Crusader Transformation. Train for strength, lead with purpose. Sign up at crusader.fitness. Nobody needs another one. But the goal really here is to get veterans into the sport. And I want to say, strongman, and I would say powerlifting too, in my experience, is probably the most welcoming sport that I've ever experienced or seen.
I would agree.
For beginners.
I would agree.
You don't get, I mean, I've never experienced it. Drama, when as far as someone showing up to a show and it's their first show or they don't know the people there, it's incredibly welcoming to beginners. Mm-hmm. If you forgot gear, you didn't know there's gear that would have been useful to bring. Yeah. Guys are going to give you their gear, or whatever it is. If you don't have a belt, if you don't have straps or the right straps, or you didn't bring a strap that's good for an axle, you only brought your normal barbell straps, whatever it is, someone's going to give it to you probably without you even asking, because they'll just see 100%. Hey, you don't have the right stuff. Let me set you straight here.
I'm sure Gabby's got those stories, and I'll tell you, my very first competition, it was exactly that. I had no idea what I was doing. I was totally intimidated, nervous, and everybody around me, even the guys in the Masters division with me, were very helpful and offering tips. And I'm just wait, what is going on? Because I came from a background of football, wrestling, where you're going at it with the guy across the line from you, you're not going to give an inch, right? And here I've got guys who I'm competing with, fighting for every point, and they're trying to help me out. I'm mind blown. Yeah. But that's the sport, I think, right? I mean, Gabby, I'm sure you've had those experiences too.
Yeah, I remember my first competition ever was on the shore, and I forgot to bring snacks. And that's a big deal.
Oh, no.
It's a very big deal.
I was very blessed. There was another competitor, and she had done multiple shows before, and she had a ton of gummy bears and Crustables, everything that's sugary and probably super unhealthy for you. But she was more than willing to share. I almost couldn't stop her from giving me food. And I truly thanked her after, because that show qualified me for nationals. I was without you, I wouldn't have made it. Yeah. So absolutely, we're very welcoming to any newcomers or even oldcomers or people who are making a comeback. If you get something, you can ask anybody and they'll help you out.
Yeah, I think that's a strong, the spirit of the sport to me has really been, yes, we want to beat people. We want to win, of course. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody really wants to win because someone didn't bring gear or any of their lifting gear, or they didn't bring the right shoes. I think we all want to win because we're genuinely better, not because somebody had some artificial disadvantage or that they were ignorant.
You want to beat somebody on their best day, right?
Yeah,
you both
exactly.
gave your best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's in it and I want to beat you at your best. I don't want to beat you because you had some disadvantage that day.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
there's
I think
not
you bring
there's
up
not much in
a
that.
good point. You just reminded me of something. Our motto at the Veteran Strongman Association, or VSA, it's a lot of words to get out. Our VSA motto is strengthen unity, strengthen community. Because I remember growing up seeing an ad for the U.S. Army. It was like Army of One, right?
Yeah.
And certainly, our military wants all of our warfighters to be strong and lethal as an independent, soldier, as an independent warrior. But let's be honest, two's better than one, three's better than two, and so on. So as a community, we are all going to be stronger together. And I think, for me, over the course of the, 10, 11 years that I competed, I made, some really good friends. Lee, George Pearson, bunch of guys who all served. And, I think that there's already a community of veterans in the sport. We want to see that community grow even bigger within the existing community of strongman.
Yeah, there's a camaraderie that I don't think you see in many other sports. And I think it seems like the hope here is, and the mission in part is to give veterans that opportunity to have some degree of brotherhood. Obviously, it's different from being in the military, but there is a camaraderie that you get, especially on game day. That it sort of forges friendships. Like the guys that I've competed with, like when we don't see each other often, but when we do, it's like, not a day's gone by. We're still there's just something about I don't know, suffering together. In that way that does it forges friendships that can last a lifetime.
Well, I joke about everyone has probably heard the term trauma bonding. And I don't want to, by no means is strongman life or death. I'm not in any way trying to compare it to the life or death situations and scenarios that some of our military have to deal with. But that strength through struggle, that trauma bonding, it is traumatic to go out there and beat yourself up, in the field of competition with, 10, 20, 30 other men or women. You're all trying to achieve the same goal and you've all kind of suffered together. So there is that, point of connection. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it is a very stressful day for people that haven't competed. Competitions are very stressful, even if you've been doing it a long time. There's plenty of stress going into it, but on the day, one of the things that I think sets the top people apart is their ability to actually deal with that stress properly.
Yeah,
because it can lead you to freeze up. It can lead you to underperform in a big way.
Make
and
mistakes.
How you handle and deal with that stress on the day. I think that's part of what actually sets apart some of the top people from the people
Agreed.
that never really make it very far.
It's like a quarterback who throws an interception. You got to forget that the next series you go out there, you can't dwell on it, right? And that's the beauty of strongman. There's 5 events, and maybe you stink at one event, but there's 4 other opportunities for you to make points. So shake it off if you have a bad one.
Yeah. Or if you just underperform, you just get over it and move on to the next thing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, powerlifting's not that different. Everyone's, I guess the general rule is just get your first squat out of the way, and then things kind of smooth out from there. And I think strongman's, at least for me, it's been very similar. Get the first event, just try to do your best, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. And then you sort of get into a groove after event 1, and the stress wiggles are out, basically. Yeah. So tell me about how this is going to work. How will this functionally work to we might have a veteran listening to this or something.
Sure.
Obviously, it's not up and going yet, but how will you interface with veterans? How are you bringing them into the sport? What are you providing for them? And what are the opportunities they're going to have?
Got it. So basically 4 main things. Number 1, first and foremost, is just coaching, providing veterans with coaching. So if somebody's interested in the sport of strongman, there's an application on our website. You can apply for coaching. We're building that roster of coaches right now. In fact, I just did announce this organization went kind of live, went public last week, and I've already gotten a couple people to apply, which is cool. But number 1 is provide coaching at no cost, by the way. So free coaching. We will pay our coaches, but the veterans will not pay for the coaching. So number 1 is provide coaching. Number 2, in the interest of, again, creating awareness, we want to get out there and do intro to strongman seminars, go to a base, go to a gym, go to a school that's got an ROTC program, like whatever it might be, but just go out there and spread, the word about strongman. In fact, I just, on Friday before Memorial Day, I did a 12-mile ruck along Lake Michigan with a bunch of veterans, and I met some guys from a group called Merging Vets and Players, MVP. Super cool guys. And one of their coaches was like, man, I got to come down and do a seminar with us. I'm like, absolutely, right? So I've been in contact with him. But just get out there, show these guys and girls, what is a log press, yoke, farmers, some of the strongman events, take some equipment, let them get their hands on it, play with it, talk about, how to find a competition. So that's, coaching, seminars. Third thing is what we're calling Bevan's Endurance Challenge fundraiser. So again, named after Richard Bevins, Lee's friend. And this is basically our version of the Murph, or one of CrossFit's hero workouts. The Bevan's Endurance Challenge is our hero workout. And it kind of came out of two different things. One of which, there's another veteran service organization that's really great called Catch a Lift. And they have a hero workout called the Coughlin Hero Challenge. Again, standard workout that anybody, any gym can do any day of the year. There's not like a set day. Like the Murph always happens on Memorial Day. A Bevan's Endurance Challenge can happen anytime. So number one, I kind of got this idea from the Coughlin Hero Challenge. Number two, a good friend of mine, Brad Carell, who is from Australia, someone else who's very supportive and wants to help raise awareness about mental health issues, suicide awareness. He started something called the Strength for Strength Yoke Challenge, which I actually did it in 2023, and it was a 5-hour yoke carry. You do it as part of a team, but myself, Lee, a couple other buddies carried that yoke for 5 hours, and it's brutal. And we knew that no normal person was going to carry a yoke for 5 hours, so we wanted to create something that was a little more accessible. So that's how the Bevan's Endurance Challenge was born. And it's basically a 2-hour and 20-minute event. So instead of 5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now, why 2 hours and 20 minutes? Because 22 veterans a day commit suicide. That's the number that gets thrown out there all the time. We wanted to kind of play off of that. But for 2 hours and 20 minutes, you and a team of people, or you and a partner, it could be you and one other person, or you and a team of 4 or a team of 5, are going to carry something heavy for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And if you're a strongman, okay, maybe it is a yoke, right? I wouldn't do 350 pounds, but maybe it's a yoke, maybe it's a pair of farmer's handles or a heavy sandbag. But if you're just a normal person who is fit and likes to go to the gym and wants to support veterans, we'll have a pair of dumbbells, a pair of kettlebells, or maybe a 30 or 40 pound sandbag, not a 100-pound sandbag, right?
Yeah.
But those Bevan's Endurance Challenge fundraisers can happen anywhere, anytime. And we're going to use those as a fundraiser to, then raise money to help, provide, more coaches for veterans. Actually have the first one scheduled for July 18th here in my hometown of Elmhurst, Illinois at Timothy Christian High School. We're going to use the track and just have people sign up, show up, give them something heavy, and start walking for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So that's the third thing. You get the free coaching, you got the seminars, Bevan's Endurance Challenge fundraisers. And then the last piece is competitions. We want to do 2 competitions every year. One of those competitions will be virtual, kind of like OSG does their online qualifier, or Rogue Fitness does their virtual challenges. We're going to have just a very simple virtual push-pull where people take video, upload it, we judge it, and we have a leaderboard, and all of that will happen without somebody having to be in one place. The reason we wanted to do that is because we want to also do an in-person competition, but if not everybody can make it to that in-person competition, then the virtual comp allows them to participate and be a part of the community and be part of something without having to travel to Chicago, New York, Florida, California, wherever we do that in-person competition. I should also mention that those competitions are only going to be open to what we call active members of the VSA. Okay. There are 2 types of membership. Both are free. There's no cost. And it's basically, if you're a member, you're just giving us your contact information so we can put you on our mailing list. But active membership is for veterans or military. Whether you're active military, whether you're in the reserves, you can be an active member. If you're a civilian, like me, I didn't serve, right? I could be a supporting member. And the only real distinction is, again, those active members are able to then compete in our 2 competitions. But then that's the nice thing about the Bevins Endurance Challenge fundraisers. Those are intended to bring together the veterans and the civilians all in one place at one event to show the veterans, hey, you've got the support of all these, great people around you. But those are the four main activities or programs we're planning to provide.
And will the online portion of the competition, because you said there'd be sort of two, will that be like a qualifier for the in-person event?
No, it's just going to be separate, independent. Just again, we want to give people a couple opportunities to compete together. Again, one virtually and one in person. But no, we're not going to make it a qualifying type thing. It's just more, hey, you're an active member. You've got an invite to this competition. There won't be an entry fee. We'll underwrite that through sponsorships or grants or whatever kind of funds we can raise. So it's really just someone's got to travel to get there. But then they'll be able to compete with their brothers and sisters from the military.
Cool. So will this be sanctioned by one of the federations, or are you guys doing your own thing?
To be determined. We haven't gotten that far. I mean, right now we don't have very many members, so we don't have competitions on the schedule for this year. Probably not until next year, and we'll just see how it grows and what makes the most sense. I mean, am I open to it? Absolutely. And I'll say probably. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, and those relationships need to be built, and it's a whole thing for those that don't know.
Absolutely.
Getting a competition like that actually sanctioned and judged properly and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, cool. That sounds awesome. I mean, you've got obviously the coaching, bringing people in, the events. I do like the idea of the I think you call it the Bevins fundraiser events and that challenge. I think that's a good way. And what this kind of reminds me of a little bit is how CrossFit really hit like military and then veterans. Like it became very, very popular. Yeah. And then a lot of people that got into it injured themselves because of the nature of CrossFit training being what it is.
Sure.
And this seems like I think that this could be the opportunity for strongman to come to the veterans and people that are currently serving in a way that CrossFit did, but it's actually a sustainable, real thing that already has a community that, I'll just say I think is superior in pretty much every way. And that actually has people that know how the human body works and know how to train responsibly for life, if you will, and not blow your shoulders out kipping or something like that. Let's be honest.
The core, the foundation of strongman is push, pull, carry, load. Right, those four movement patterns, and then grip's also important. You got to be well conditioned. But I think with the Bevins Endurance Challenge, it's a carry only. We're not asking anybody to press anything. We're not asking them to load anything. But let's say you've got a team of 4. Each person will carry those dumbbells, those kettlebells for a minute, and then they'll hand it off to the next person. But over the course of the 2 hours and 20 minutes, they're going to carry those for a total of 35 minutes. So you think about, a pair of 25-pound dumbbells, carrying those, you carry them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, your grip's probably going to fail. But if you're handing it off, every so often, and then just from a metaphor perspective, right? The idea, just like the Strength for Strength yoke challenge that Brad started, carrying that weight with your teammates is symbolic of the weight or the burden of the mental health struggles that veterans carry, right? Anxiety, anger, depression, suicidal thoughts. So that's why we kind of wanted to continue that Strength for Strength concept, but just at a more, call it palatable level than 5 hours with a heavy yoke.
Yeah, that's a little more approachable. Yeah, and not having odd implements people need to learn, because if you're talking about carrying dumbbells and kettlebells, anybody can jump into that.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, it also probably helps with injury risk too. You won't have as much potential for new people hurting themselves on whatever. So I'm sure that was a significant factor. You guys figuring out how can we get people in that don't do anything?
Yeah, we didn't want it to be scary.
A history. Yeah, exactly. The worst thing that happens
but not intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah, you drop the kettlebell with the dumbbell on the ground, and you bruise the dirt.
Right.
That's about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome. This sounds. So you guys have a what's your website for this?
So the website is www.vsastrong.org.
Cool.
and you can apply to be a coach. You can apply to be a member. You can apply for coaching. You can donate. Obviously, we need donations.
Yeah.
One thing I just thought of, though, before you asked that question, back to the Bevan's Endurance Challenge, and I brought up, the push, pull, carry, load. I would love for Gabby to kind of talk just for a minute or two about, I think, the connection between strongman and veterans, is pretty natural, again, because of the physical culture that I think, some of these branches, live. And Gabby, you certainly had to do PT. Each branch has their sort of requirements to get in, timed run, plank, push-ups, sit-ups, all that kind of stuff, right? But then you've also got things like the Army Combat Fitness Test, the Marine Combat Fitness Test that are more specialized. What's the one? Sprint, drag, carry. There's a 3-rep max deadlift as part of the Army Combat Fitness Test. So can you talk, Gabby, about, what sort of prepared you for strongman coming out of that in the Army?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, all the branches have different PT tests, and the Army used to have only 3 events, which was push-ups, sit-ups, and 2-mile run, and then realized along the way that soldiers need to be prepared for more than just those 3 things in a combat zone, for example. So currently we have a PT test that's comprised of 6 events, which the sprint drag carry is part of it, which is very similar to strongman because we sometimes drag items, we carry, we have to sprint back and grab something like a sandbag and then carry it again. So there's this, in my opinion, is this better connection with strongman and the physical aspect of being in the military rather than when you spoke about CrossFit, right? So the carryover for me, we're not talking about the run, but the rest of the events was amazing because, like you mentioned, a 3 rep deadlift, right? It's not a regular deadlift bar. It is a trap bar. However, the max weight for women back then, it was almost 300 pounds, and not a lot of women were able to do that. Luckily, with my background in strongman, so I was able to max that event as well as plenty of other events, and I was actually one of the top females in my battalion for a very long time before I retired. So the crossover is amazing. The community you build, I would like to touch on that as well. So when you're in the military, you are always surrounded by people who have to embrace the same suck as you do. No matter what you're doing, if you're out there in the woods, we call it camping for a week out there, but it is sleeping on the ground, or you dig a little foxhole when you sleep in it for a week. You don't have a shower. You are happy if you get a hot meal once a day. So it's very similar to training strongman because most of the strongman gyms don't have AC. So you're already hot and sweaty. And then you have to carry something extremely heavy to the point that you might pass out, right? So you're embracing that suck together. So once you leave the military, though, that feeling of embracing that suck together as a community, as a unit, you're kind of losing that. And you're also almost losing that purpose of getting up every morning because you no longer have, hey, you need to be there. You need to be prepared to do this. You need to wear this. You have to be there until this time. You no longer have that bond with other people. So if you have something to look forward to, like a strongman session every Saturday, where you have to once again embrace that suck with other people and they're suffering through the same exact conditions as you are, that's actually what made me join the VSA, is because that bond, you cannot create it in any other way. You have to just go through the suck together.
That reminds me, actually, talking to Lee, I met Lee in 2016 in Louisville. We were at the USS National Championship, and I think it was the summer after I went and did one of his contests down in Kentucky. And at one point, we were talking about the fact that for him, and I think you can attest to this too, Gabby, there's nothing outside of the military to replace that community, that sense of camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, until you found strongman. Like strongman kind of did replace that to a degree. It was the only thing that kind of even came close to that. Would you agree?
Yeah, especially because the military, you get together with people from completely different backgrounds that you would in a normal career never meet. And I feel like it's the same in strongman. We're kind of the odd ones out, But somehow when we come together and train or compete or whatever it is, all of a sudden we all have this community and we love each other and we support each other.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something too about identity, which reminded me in terms of why we're doing this, right? More than 6,000 veterans, I think it's like 6,400 veterans a year commit suicide. Too many. We want to see that number come down. But when you get to the root of, the why, Gabby touched on, you get out of the Army, the Marines, the Navy, whatever branch you're in, you kind of lose that sense of identity, right? You no longer have that sense of mission purpose. There is no accountability to a commanding officer or, a higher ranking, anything. You're not required to do PT. You're not required to do regular physical activity. And I think that transition, from what I've heard, I haven't lived it, but like that transition from military to civilian life can be really hard, especially for some more than others. So what we're trying to do with the VSA is help replace that community that Gabby's talking about, but also give these men and women mission purpose, right? It's not just go to the gym and do whatever. It's go to the gym and train to hopefully compete in this sport. So there's mission purpose, and there's tons of research out there, more and more coming out all the time, that talks about the benefits of not just exercise but strength training, right? Adding lean tissue, building muscle, right? And as someone gets stronger, hopefully they're going to feel better about themselves. So more self-confidence, better improved, self-esteem. It also helps with, just lowering anxiety, depression, helps improve your sleep quality. There's tons of benefits to strength training, not just strongman training, but that's also why we want to do this is, again, spread the word. I mean, people know this, right? But give them a coach and let them be accountable to that coach. We're also going to do weekly calls with these different cohorts of athletes to bring people together to try to recreate that unit style camaraderie once we get this thing going.
Yeah, I can see how that's going to be very helpful for the mental health component, because I know just from our own strongman gym that we go to, if you don't see somebody for a little bit, you reach out and ask how they're doing. Is everything okay? So that is part of this camaraderie. So if they're not showing up to these video sessions, or if they're not showing up to their gym, somebody's going to check on them.
Correct.
And they might not have gotten that before.
Yeah. You won't get that at Planet Fitness.
No.
And along with what you were saying, Mike, too, the clinical studies have indicated that just exercise in general, and not to the degree that we're even talking about, is more effective at treating depression than any drug.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it for someone's mental health in that aspect, as far as depression and any associated conditions like that. It does no drug that's out there is going to compare.
Correct. I should also add, just because you brought this up, Amanda, I want to make sure we're very clear. Like, the VSA in no way, shape, or form, like, we're not mental health service providers. We're not counselors. If you go to our website, you'll see that 988 bugs. You can get help, immediately if you need it. But we're not in the business of. I mean, I do have a therapist, on our board. So I've got some mental health, experience on our board. That was important to me. I should also add that in order to be a coach for the VSA, every coach has to take what is called the Mental Health Resilience Officer certification through the National Association of EMTs. We're going to reimburse the coaches for that, but I want to make sure that every coach on our staff has at least a basic understanding of how to deal with someone who might be in crisis, so that if they get a text or a call, or just if they feel like there's a situation they need to, to deal with somebody who's having an episode, like, they know what to do. So that was really important as far as the different qualifications, to be a coach with our organization.
Yeah, I think that's key, because you're going to be around the coaches will be working with a population that may have those kinds of struggles, and so I think just even some degree of aptitude for saying, like, hey, I can tell you need to go talk to somebody. Now. Yep. Just even knowing what the signs are.
I should also probably add, like, I think Gabby and I have talked about this before. Justin, you and I talked about it on the phone. There are, and listen, I don't begrudge anybody the right or the need to make a living, right? But I mean, I've studied this stuff. I've got a few pieces of paper that say I know what the hell I'm talking about. How good I am at it, I don't know, right? I'm not the best coach. I'm a coach, right? But we all know people that go out there and win a novice competition, and a week later they're selling the services as a coach, right?
Yeah.
Or even maybe they win OSG, right? And not every great athlete makes a great coach. So I just want to be very transparent with anybody who's watching this and says, oh, maybe I can be a coach, with the VSA. Maybe you can be, but we do have some requirements. Number one, you have to be a certified coach, and that can be a degree, 2-year degree, 4-year degree. It can be a certification from an accredited institution like the NSCA, NASM, ISSA, just, and again, an accredited organization. So you've got to be certified. Number two, you have to take this mental health resilience officer course. We're going to use the Train Heroic apps. Everybody's got a phone, right? So we're going to use the Train Heroic app to deliver the programming. So if you're familiar with Train Heroic, you've already got a leg up on other people, but that's something we needed to do just for the sake of accountability. I can't be chasing down coaches for Excel spreadsheets, Google Sheets, Word documents, and try to put something together that's coherent if I'm applying for a grant or trying to pitch a donor on, here's our results. And I'm just the app allows us, a level of reporting and data collection that we need. So fourth piece is you have to agree to abide by our code of conduct. And we're going to do a basic criminal background check on you. And then you've got to carry your own insurance. So again, this is not amateur hour. I want, people who are professional and know what they're doing, because again, I want to provide a high quality coaching service to the men and women who served our country and deserve that. So.
Yeah, I can see that there would be a lot of potentially influencers hear about VSA and be like, that's going to look good on my profile, and not necessarily have what it takes to deal with this caliber of a client and being part of an organization like this.
Yeah, it's quality control.
Yeah, and I think you being an experienced coach is going to really help with that, because even so, like even the piece of paper, doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot compared to like, can you work with people?
Well, I mean, we'll do a reference check, right? I mean, the background check's not, but I'm going to check references, right? So
these are curated coaches. They're not. This isn't just you have a certification, you got the paper, cool, you're in. It's not like becoming a physical trainer, at your local gym. This is actually like people who know coaching are going to see if you seem competent, if you seem the right personality fit. And that kind of thing. It's not just a free for all of like, oh, you got the paper, let's get you in and sign you up. This is, like you said, it's for people that are professional, that understand their craft, understand what they're doing. They have experience. It's not a place for new coaches. It's not a place to prove yourself. You need to show up having proven yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's very important, and also like really adds to the value of what you guys are doing too.
Yeah, thanks. I should also add, I think we talked about this on the phone too, Justin. I'm a crawl, walk, run guy. So the crawling phase we're in right now is just getting this thing off the ground. So building that roster of coaches, getting people to apply for coaching, and then launching this thing, later this year. But then the walking phase, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, is kind of exciting for me, because the vision I have is, let's take 1 or 2 of the people who come into these cohorts of veterans as athletes, and we coach them up. Maybe somebody raises their hands and says, hey, I'd really like to be a coach. Okay, cool. Let's figure out how to get you certified. Maybe we can help them do that. And then we, train the coaches, because other than Gabby, I mean, I assume, Amanda, you didn't serve in the military?
I did not, no.
Yep. See, and Justin did. So the three of us, we didn't serve. Gabby did. So if Gabby was a coach, there's an extra level of connection that a veteran has with another veteran,
right,
regardless of what branch you're in, right? That we couldn't have. And so I'd love to get to a place, again, a few years down the road, where we've got more, if not all of our coaches, veterans, right? Because right now I'm just getting started. I'm taking people who I know and who I trust and who are qualified, but I'd love to grow that roster of veteran coaches, down the road. And I should also add the running part even further down the road, maybe 5+ years, is to get into some of the adaptive, strongman stuff. I don't have that experience. I know people who do, but right out of the gate, I'm trying to start small and focus on, more able-bodied individuals. Nothing against anybody in the adaptive realm. I know they need it too, and they want it. I don't have that experience, and I don't want to bite off more than we can chew. So just trying to be smart about how we roll this out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you'll be able to bring in more of those edge cases as you go and serve those people better, I think.
Yeah.
Once you have that base of competency for, I guess you call it more the mainstream.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I really appreciate you guys, what you guys are doing. This is awesome. So veteranstrongmanassociation.com, right?
VSAstrong.org.
Okay. Sorry. VSAstrong.org.
Okay.
Yeah, go check it out. And then where can everybody find you guys on socials? What's the best place?
We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn.
Cool.
And again, starting small. I mean, we might expand that over the next couple of years, but right now, I mean, there's only so much I can do and so much I can manage.
Oh, Mike, you look like a TikToker. Come on, man. That's like...
Yeah, no. No TikTok, no Snapchat.
I don't use TikTok. I don't want that stuff. Yeah, cool. And then personally, where can people find you guys? Mike, what's your Instagram handle?
I'm Big Mike Strength Coach on Instagram. Gabby's got a really good handle.
What's yours, Gabby?
So I'm Gabby_the Austrian Oaktress.
The Austrian Oaktress. That's perfect.
I love
it. Cool. Well, awesome, guys. Well, we definitely wish you the best. If we can do anything to support and help, let us know. I know, Mike, we might be in communication. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but for those listening, please check this out. Eventually, get on their mailing list and things like that. There will probably be events that are maybe within driving distance of you guys in the future. They're not happening yet, but they will. So just be on the lookout for that in ways that you might be able to participate. And it also could be an opportunity to bring people into Strongman, like some of these local events that it's not the pressure of a full competition. Just show up and carry a couple dumbbells for a couple hours with some friends. And you're still like supporting a cause and able to, have some fun with your friends. So hopefully there are going to be a lot more of those, but get on the list so that on the mailing list, at least you guys know when announcements are made and check out the, Instagram and things like that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to your audience. Really appreciate it. Justin, Amanda, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I really appreciate you reaching out and telling me about all this. And Gabby, is awesome meeting you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm excited about what you guys are doing and really would like to see it just grow from here and get to that running stage.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Have a great day.
My name is Justin Johnson with High Calling Fitness. Maybe you're tired, gaining weight, waking up with joint pain, back pain, and a body that just doesn't feel like it used to. You tried to fix it, but nothing seems to last. What if you don't need another app or crash diet, but a real coach, someone to meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step? At High Calling Fitness, our coaching comes to you wherever you are. No matter where you live, small town or city, across the country or across the world, your health still matters. You don't have to go it alone. We build personalized plans based on your goals, your schedule, and your equipment, even if it's just a set of dumbbells in a small space. This isn't just training, it's a personal partnership. You'll get weekly updates, one-on-one access to your coach, and ongoing support through Zoom and Slack every step of the way. We're here to help you build strength, restore energy, and claim the life you were meant to live. Book a free consult today. Let's talk about your goals and see how we can build something better together. High Calling Fitness, built for the everyday, ready for the extraordinary.